As Chief Administrative Officer in the U.S. House of Representatives, as Commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation, as Staff Director in the House of Representatives, as Associate Director of the Domestic Policy Staff for the White House, and as Chief of Staff for Senator Mark Baucus. He religiously does a crossword puzzle each day. He's participated in the National Crossword Puzzle Tournament in New York City. He's never passed up an opportunity to float any portion of the Colorado River. He's going to be floating the San Juan River later this year. He loves walking his Corgi Golden Retriever mix named Choo Choo at least 4 miles each day. He's a long-suffering and lately very frustrated fan of the Washington Redskins, Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards. So please join me in welcoming Dan Beard.
You'll have to bear with me just a second here while I get organized. If it's okay with everybody here, I'm going to take a selfie. I've always wanted to do this, but just stand up here and take a selfie. There you go. Thank you for your indulgence. Got to get set here. I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. This is a first for me. I've never been to the BYU campus. I've been all around the state of Utah, and just for some reason I never had an opportunity to come here. So I jumped at the opportunity when Professor Cannon offered me the opportunity to come, and I'm really looking forward to my visit. I'll be here. I'm going to go over and talk on your radio station a little bit and meet some of the other professors and talk hopefully to more students. What I'd like to do is talk this morning, my talk is really based on the book that I've written, Deadbeat Dams, Why We Should Abolish the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation and Tear Down Glen Canyon Dam. Not exactly the softest title one would choose, but I decided that I really wanted to be very direct in my language, because as I sat and thought, I'm going to write a book about water, and I've worked in the water resource policy field for 40 years. And I thought to myself, what is it that I can add? Everybody said everything. You know, we have acres, miles and miles of books on water and water policy, water commissions, everything you can think of. And I really felt that most of the books I'd ever read had pulled their punches. They really didn't state sort of come across as more direct. And so that's what I decided to do, and that's what I've done in the book. And the book is really a set of reflections. And it lays out things that I think we should do to change national water policies in various areas. And I hope I do it in an entertaining and a lively manner that engages the reader. So far, people have told me that it does. Even my family says that it does. I have 3 kids and a wife who was mentioned. My wife Dan and I have been married 48 years, and all of them have no interest in the subject. None. So it's a real stretch to get them to read a book about it. Well, let me begin by saying that the provocative title was intentional on my part for the book, Deadbeat Dams. A deadbeat is somebody who deliberately avoids paying their bills, a loafer and a sponger who wrings others dry. Well, in my view, deadbeats have controlled Western water policies from the beginning, and their grip on the water policy faucet is still secure. Now more than ever, with a mega drought that we're in the midst of and unpredictable fallout from climate change, we need to change Western water policies. But we need to eliminate from our water policy debates and evaluations. The greed and what I call the short-sightedness and the politics that pervade the present system. For more than a century, taxpayers have been lavishing billions of tax dollars on a very small group of special interests who have come to think of this money and the water as an entitlement. This cozy arrangement is preserved by a complicit Congress and an out-of-date federal bureaucracy, in my view. For more than we have wasted and misallocated billions of gallons of water because of unjustified federal subsidies for the development and use of water. We think nothing of using taxpayer money for drying up rivers, killing fish, or destroying tourism in a region so that a hobby farmer can grow hay for his daughter's horse. Now, I have nothing against daughters, I have one. Nothing against horses either, I don't have one. We consciously reject workable solutions in favor of failed old approaches that don't work and have resulted in the water crisis that we face. Dams built to meet dubious needs 100 years ago are out of date and need to be removed, and these are before and after pictures of a couple of dams that have been removed in the West. And we need to restore free-flowing streams. This is the Elwha River in the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State, one of the most successful large dam removal efforts. America's water crisis is real. In the West, we're struggling to survive a mega drought, a 15-year mega drought, which scientists say is the worst in 1,000 years. Bathtub rings, due to water levels dropping in our reservoirs, now encircle our largest reservoirs and are giving us a visual reminder of our failed policies, and the shock of the mega drought itself will begin to rattle through our national economy in the coming year. The old way of thinking is that we should build more reservoirs to solve this problem. But the last thing we need is to build more expensive bathtub rings. Now, how are we responding to this crisis? Well, I don't think we are. Our leaders appear to be ostriches with heads stuck in the bottom of empty reservoirs. Government agencies spend millions of dollars on studies to find new ways to restate the obvious and to dodge issues. Officials seem to scurry from meeting to meeting, desperately searching for ways to appear to be addressing issues without actually doing so. Politicians hold press conferences to tout non-solutions and to grab one-day headlines. The dam building zealots implore us to spend billions of dollars on uneconomic and environmentally destructive projects that offer only band-aid solutions and line the pockets of a few. Most environmental groups lack a bold agenda, and they become easily diverted by a desire to engage in what I call process solutions, and that is to follow one another from meeting to meeting, endlessly talking about problems and never coming to a resolution. And they do this instead of rebuilding the grassroots networks that made them formidable political players. Now, I didn't write this book to sort of come this morning and be very depressing. I really came to enlighten and to try to tell people, to inform people what, in my view, how their tax dollars are being spent and misspent, and what we can do to correct this situation, and how we can move the whole system forward. So since we're talking about Western water, I'd like to begin by pointing out what I call the important characteristics of any conversation about Western water. And this is based on my experiences working at the federal level. First and foremost, Western water issues are about politics, not policy. No problem, no budget, no solution is ever addressed in an unbiased and detached manner. Politics permeates every decision, every issue,